Welcome everyone to Overcome Podcast. And today we have the reigning champion of the Crossfit Games Master division, Woman Master division. Someone that has a lot to share with y'all. I've been researching about her and it's quite amazing. We're going to talk all about all questions that I have. Leka Fineman, thank you very much for being on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
I was doing some research about in which point of time you switched to be an athlete, and looks like it was in 2018. I'm not sure if before you were already doing any type of exercise or anything, but looks like CrossFit, it was 2008 actually, not 18, 8.
2008.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, 2008 is when you really officially started, right?
I started CrossFit in 2008. Before that, so I was 40 then. And before that, I would say, I was always active growing up, but I never really participated in like competitive sports. I mean, I did ride horses growing up, so I competed in equestrian events, but it just wasn't something that was really encouraged, as a child. I played a little bit of basketball in high school, but yeah, it wasn't until I started CrossFit. And even once I started CrossFit, it took a few years before I thought of myself as a competitor and identified as an athlete. So even then, it really wasn't until probably, a few years into CrossFit that I really started to actually say, okay, I'm an athlete. I mean, I still sometimes have a hard time claiming it completely, but yeah.
But what really led you to even start CrossFit? Because everyone has a different reason. Oh, I wanted to lose
Right.
weight. Oh, I wanted to have a sense of community, whatever. So what led you to try?
To be honest, it was just to get my brother to shut up. My little brother, he's um, 16 years younger than me. So he was born when I was a senior in high school, and we're very close. And he was doing CrossFit. He found it in 2007. And when people first started, especially back then, it was like he was a fanatic and he would not shut up. And he was just, going on and on about how amazing this was. And it was like going to change the world and you have to do this thing. And it's like, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. Just shut up. So he took me to a class in San Diego. He was working. He got a job coaching for CrossFit San Diego, which was what is now CrossFit Invictus. So it was CJ Martin, who's, it's now a big gym and very well known. But this was back in the early days. So I went to one class, and at the time, I was very dedicated to my yoga practice. And I was actually, that day, I was planning to go to a yoga class. And I was like, all right, I'll do this CrossFit thing first. Just stop bugging me. And I went in, and I immediately was just, it got me right away. Everyone was so nice. And it was in this big warehouse with, there was like a rig, but there weren't any machines or mirrors and I did this workout, and it was like, it killed me, and I loved it. And that was the beginning, really.
But you were already in shape. You always were in shape.
Yes, I would say I was. I mean, I wasn't, I was healthy. I was pretty, I did, I think I had a gym membership at that time. I would go to a gym, but I was back in the day when I had that idea that, women weren't supposed to lift heavy weights. But I did yoga, I did Pilates. I was active and healthy. And genetically, I'm pretty lean. I come from a line of, pretty healthy, lean people. So I do have that. But
Genetics definitely helps, because
genetics helps
when
for sure. And, I had grown up surfing and doing yoga. So I had body awareness and Pilates, all that stuff. It definitely helped. It was just, I didn't know what a barbell was, and I didn't know what Olympic lifting was. I didn't know, gymnastics was completely foreign to me, except for handstands from yoga. But other than that, it was all new.
All new, and that's why you said it took a few years for you to really feel you were an athlete, or it was more like that usual imposter syndrome that no, that's not. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of competing took me a while to warm up to, because it was never something that was like, it was so foreign. That was just, I didn't, I couldn't relate to that. I wasn't encouraged as a kid. I didn't think of myself as someone who did that. Part of it maybe is, being a woman, it's like you're thought of maybe as like a bitch if you're competitive, or there was just something I resisted that. And there were women around me who were competitive. They were competitors. I mean, they were games athletes, and they were, these amazing, like strong, like super athletes. And there were, the gym that I was training at, they had a team went to the games way back then in 2008 and 2009. So I knew that existed, but it wasn't for me. I just didn't. I was going there to have fun and be with people and work out. And so that, yeah, it took a while to start to adopt that.
But did you ever feel that age was holding you back somehow? And mainly when you crossed the 50, because I'm talking personally, I definitely felt a difference after 40s. I'm 48 now, and I feel like as as you get older, it gets really hard to recover sometimes from a workout and everything. Did you feel that, or you feel better every year?
I would have to say that it's never been something that's held me back. Like I've never thought, oh, I can't do that because I'm too old. I mean, that it wasn't that. It's more of the changes in my body have been more and more noticeable. More recently, hormonal changes have, that's kind of been a big, like, just punch in the stomach. I mean, I'm pretty much through menopause, but like the hormonal shift and dealing with that, the recovery is definitely slower. I'm starting to notice more and more, like in the past few years, I would say, but I still don't feel like, I can't do something. It's like, in a way, my life is different. I have more time. My kids are out of the house. So it's like, there's more space and time. So, when I was first training for the games, when I was 50, I was working full time and I had my kids at home. So it was like the stress level, and in a way that was harder, even though I was younger than, now 6 years later. So it's, but yeah, you have to pay more attention to recovery for sure. It's like, we don't snap back, and, the nutrition and all of the things outside of training become more and more important. So yeah, that you can't deny that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, starting to notice maybe, I might have reached my 1 rep max. I might not get that again. The strength, the muscle loss, that's a real thing. Yeah. So.
But when you look at your numbers, because you've been in a lot of games, I was looking at here that you participate in a lot of games already. Until
5. Yeah.
until you reach this point that you actually won, which is amazing, right? Because
yeah, it's totally amazing. I can't even like what happened.
yeah,
No, I mean, I worked really hard to get there. I know what happened.
no, yeah, but of course. But what I'm saying is that after so many years, and even when you were younger, and now you achieve that, is when you look back, the numbers has been improving in each game. What really
Yeah.
changed for this year for you
Yeah,
to
it's
make it?
amazing. The numbers, right. I've gotten better. It's incredible. Like that's what's so cool, is that you can keep getting better. And neuroplasticity, right? Our brains we can keep learning and we can keep growing. So when I hear people say, oh, I can't do that, I'm too old, it's like, I just want them to stop saying that. Like there's, yeah, I mean, maybe you might not, I don't know, like we have to do things differently, but there is possibility to achieve more skill and do better in your lifts. I mean, I put on 10 pounds in my lifts because my technique has gotten better. So, and yeah, I have gotten stronger in some things too. Like I'm training smarter, right? You have to maybe be a little smarter about what you're doing. So, I mean, I learned to walk on my hands when I was 50, and, still not like incredible at it, but I can do it. And I couldn't do it at all like 6 years ago. I, and that's one thing about CrossFit too, is every year there's more and more, it's more challenging, right? And we have to keep growing and evolving. So it never, gets easier. You just get better. That's what I like to always say.
Right, but what did you change anything in your on your training, nutrition, or did you hire a coach? What was really the biggest change that you had between 2022 and this year? Do you think?
So yeah, I mean the difference between, let's say, when I first qualified in 2017, I had a coach. I think I've been very consistent. Consistency goes a long ways. There weren't like drastic changes, but micro changes along the way. I had the same coach for 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019, Arnold Chua. And I've always sought out different experts. So I feel like I have a growth mindset, meaning that, every failure is an opportunity for growth. Like I'm constantly, I just have the belief that I can always grow and learn, right? As opposed to like, oh, this is the way I am. I can't do that because, so I'm always seeking out opportunities for learning and growth. So I've worked with a lot of different coaches over the years. I moved from Northern California to Southern California in 2021, and that was a big change. So I started training at a new gym, Palm Valley Athletics in Palm Springs. And then I started following the Mayhem programming. So that was different. I had been following CompTrain. I stopped doing that, started doing Mayhem, which is great. I love the programming. And I didn't have a coach for a while. And then I was connected with Sage Bergner through Mayhem after I qualified for the games in 2022. So I would say that was a change, right? I started following the Mayhem programming. I had thought I was done competing after 2019. I was kind of done. Like the COVID happened, the games were canceled. Then I was at the end of my age group. So I was just kind of done. And then I did the Open. I did pretty well. I came in 20th in the Open. So I decided, okay, I might as well start training again. That's when I had started following Mayhem right before that. But so that was like, I really just got laser focused about my training. I just dove into it. I had been working out, but just very in a relaxed way, which maybe was good. My body was healthy. I didn't have any nagging injuries. But I started really just being more intentional about my training. My nutrition has always been pretty good. I'm a nutrition coach, and I'm careful about it. It's something that I just kind of geek out on, and I love food and I love eating. And so that, but even then, once the training ramps up, the nutrition has to ramp up along with it, meaning I have to be, more careful about when and how much and what I'm eating. I don't drink. I occasionally will have a glass of wine, but I just cut that out completely. So connecting with Sage, she became my coach. I was following Mayhem. I started training a lot more volume. Games training is always a lot of volume. And then this past year, after I went to the games in 2022 and I did pretty well, I came in 5th. I was really happy with that. But I decided I wanted to try again. I felt like I could win. I felt like there was a chance, and Sage thought so too. And so I talked to her. I was like, look, if I'm going to try this again, like, are you in it with me? She's like, yeah, let's do this. So then after 2022, I hadn't competed for a while because I was done, right? I took a break. I hadn't done any live competitions since 2019. So I felt like I needed some more live competing experience. So I did the Legends qualifier. I qualified for the Legends Championship, which was in Cookeville last year. I competed there. I came in 3rd. I felt really good about that. But I felt like there was still room for improvement. Like maybe I was holding back a little bit. So I did competed in Wadapalooza. I did the Wadapalooza qualifiers, qualified for that. And Wadapalooza is not, I would say, not the highest level of competition. Legends is a much more higher level of competition. Like there's a lot of games athletes. Wadapalooza is just really fun, but it's still a live competition. You still get that. Like you can't replicate that experience of a live competition in the gym. It's really hard to. So it was good. I came in 1st there, which was, definitely a confidence booster. And
so
then,
that one was the last one before the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, that was in January of 2023.
So that's great, right? Because you're finishing 1st. I can only imagine you're like, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, and then it was the Open, and I won the Open, which was kind of amazing. I mean, that does like I wasn't expecting that. You don't get anything for winning the Open, but it feels good, you know? And so I was like, okay, I guess everything I'm doing, I must be doing the right thing, right? I'm on the right track. And then was quarterfinals. I came in second in quarterfinals. And again, you know, it doesn't really mean anything because the leaderboard is wiped clean each time. You know, these things used to matter because your score in the Open used to it used to carry over. It doesn't matter anymore, really, but it means something. It meant something to me. I felt like, okay, I'm doing something right. And then I did semifinals. I came in second in semifinals. So going into the games, I was ranked second. You know, you get your numbers, and it's like it's whatever 552 was my number because that's where I was ranked. So means a little something, but not really.
Well, it means a lot actually, because as you said, it is a testimony, is a validation that you are in the right track and everything. So it does mean it's a good way to measure your progress. So I think it's amazing that you were able to achieve that and help you to motivate to go to the CrossFit Games with confidence, because that counts a lot, right? I mean, as soon as you started and you start every workout that you were performing, I bet you that you were feeling better, and you say, hey, you know what, this is possible, right? So that helps.
Yeah, I mean, the confidence piece is a big piece of it, and it was something that I have worked on building over the years. That, I worked with a mental performance coach that we started working together in 2017, and that was like when I first started working with him, that was like the thing that I wanted to work on was my confidence, because the first year that I qualified for the games, I was just excited to be there. And there's always that, when you're there, you can kind of tell the people who are they're just there they're happy to be there. They don't even, maybe it's like winning isn't even, it was for me, it wasn't like, I didn't even think it was possible to win at that point. I was just glad to be there.
Right.
And I wanted to do it again because I learned so much, and I was like, oh, I can do better. So every year the confidence building is, it's a big, for me anyways, and I see it in other athletes too.
But did you attribute that to your mental coach? Do you think it helped you a lot? Did you feel the difference?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's Grant Parr is his name. He has been instrumental in, I mean, building my mental strength, my mental fitness is probably as important as the physical strength and the physical fitness. It goes hand in hand. And I think I'm sure there's scientific proof, right? That the mental piece separates the good athletes from the great athletes. It's all in between your ears. Like you can win or lose depending on how you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I know that my mental resilience has carried me a very long way, and it probably made the difference this year. I mean, when you get to the level I'm at, and I see this probably the individual athletes, we're all very close. All of us ladies we're all very, very fit, and we all do, we all train our asses off. We work really hard. I'm not the best gymnast. I mean, some of them are better at me than others. Like it comes down to like a very close race.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, I'm more mentally tough than my next competitor, but like it can make a difference. So it's important for sure.
Yeah, and actually, I was looking to the points. So between you and the second place, you finished with 560, and the second place was 500, right? So it's very close.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, that's 60 points is a good spread, but yeah, some of the workouts are like really close. So it's yeah, and that at the CrossFit Games, I was feeling actually my confidence was really shaken like the last leading up to the games, because I was dealing with some injury or things that were shaking my confidence. I wasn't able to do any pulling up until the games. I was dealing with some nerve impingement, my elbow and my shoulder, and so I was like, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I might, if I was physically 100%, I think I could win, but I didn't feel like I was physically 100% going into the games. So I kind of got to this point where I just was like, I'm going to do the best I can, and that's all I can do. I might not win. I if I think if I was fitter, I could. But anyways, so there were, I was in the lead after the end of the first day. I think I was tied for first after the end of the second day. And then going into the last day, when they announced those last two workouts, they were things that are definitely going to aggravate my elbow. The ski erg and bar muscle ups. I couldn't even do because of my elbow, and they're hard for me. And I ended up winning that workout with the ski erg. And then the bar muscle ups, luckily no one else was very good at them either. So, but it could have gone the other way. Like I could have just lost right then,
Yeah, but I think that in those moments is where your mental strength really comes nicely to play, because if you defeat yourself even before a workout, right here is going to be really hard for you to execute that workout because you already defeat yourself, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, my coach was like, okay, you got to sell your soul. I was like, yeah, I'm selling my, that's what I'm doing. I'm just like, I'm going to ignore my body. I'm going to just like not feel whatever it is and just go out there and do the job, So it definitely, you're right. You can defeat yourself. You can talk yourself out of it. So you have to, it really comes down to that, the winning mindset, right?
Yeah, but it's funny because we also have to keep that balance. We keep hearing coaches and everything say, oh, when you're training, you have to listen to your body, take a rest, blah, blah, blah. So sometimes listen to your body, but sometimes do not listen to your body, right? So this fine line is really hard to maintain.
Yeah, listen to your body when you're training and then tell your body to shut up when you're competing or something like that. Exactly.
But do you listen to your body and you when you're training, you're like, okay, I'm not feeling good, I'm going to take a break? Or do you also grind through training?
So that's a fine line too, because at this point, when you're an older, more experienced athlete, it's a fine line of doing enough so that you're progressing, but being able to show up the next day and train, right? So we're like, it's kind of, there's diminishing returns sometimes. Like, yeah, grinding is important, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to do something in training that is going to prevent me from being able to come back and train the next day. Mm-hmm. So I do listen to my body, but I'm pushing really, really hard. I mean, games training is like, that's a whole beast in itself, where it's like, you get to the point where you're like, for me, and probably everyone, I think, gets to this point where you're just feeling like just exhausted and everything hurts. And I mean, I was just like over it. Like I wanted to quit so many times. And at one point, all my coaches were saying, just take a few days off. And I couldn't. I couldn't, because I felt like I was going to fall behind and there were so many things I needed to work on. So it's, it's kind of just that riding that line of finding, doing enough and not too much.
But with that in mind, you don't train every day, right? You take 1 day off, 2 days off, or how your regimen right now?
Right now, I'm not games training. I mean, right now I'm working out, I'm having fun, I'm staying healthy. I'm, still dealing with these little injury things. But I would say, normally I train 5 days a week, and I maybe have like an active recovery day and then 1 day of just nothing. Games training, I'm doing something every day. I mean, I'm training 5 days a week hard, and then I'm doing an active recovery, meaning like a swim and a run, and then I'm doing something every day, but like it's like tissue work, like it's more mobility, or just running or swimming or something being on the bike or something like that.
Yeah.
Not pounding, not barbell.
And in just switching gears completely, but because you are sharing so many good insights. In 2018, you released a book called Super Fit at 50, Lessons Learned, Becoming the 7th Fittest Woman in the World. It's time to update this book.
I know. I really need to get my next book out.
It's time to update this book because
I have the draft of it here. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that you have way more lessons to share between 2008, right?
Yeah.
And what will be when you look back 2018 to now? What are some of the main lessons that you learned?
That's a good question. Well, like we talked about, it's never too late, right? Like, I think the thing that keeps coming home to me now is to break free of your self-limiting beliefs. Like you just said, don't talk yourself out of winning before you even start. like having, so I guess more of the mindset piece of just telling yourself that it's possible
Hmm.
to begin with, like to not limit yourself by automatically saying in the beginning, oh, I can't do something, whatever it is. So I think that that's the start, is, having the big scary goal and claiming it and announcing it to the world, and then taking the steps to achieve it. So that's the big thing. I think that the mindset piece and breaking free of the self-limiting beliefs is really important in life and sport and everything basically.
And I was actually checking out your website, lekafineman.com, and
Mhm.
you are a mindset coach.
Yes, I do. I work with people on mindset. Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
you
kind of
you
something.
is
Yeah,
interesting because you got a coach, you learn a lot, and now you are getting those lessons learned and applying to help other people.
yeah. I mean, I've always sought out coaching. I mean, I just, I think it's like if you want to learn how to play tennis, you go get tennis lessons, right? So why not, find a coach for your mindset or relationships? I just think coaching is, it's great. It's great to be able to learn from an expert or, different people if you want to do some different specialties. And I've grown into coaching. It was something that, again, like calling myself an athlete, it was something it took me a while to own being a coach, but it's because people kept coming to me and asking me, what do you do? What do you eat? How do you do this? How come you keep winning? What are you
Yeah.
doing? So I've leaned into that. I've studied it. I mean, I'm actually taking a nutrition master class right now, and I'm in another, mindset boot camp. Like I'm a lifelong learner.
Mhm.
So I love to keep learning, and I love to share that knowledge with people as much as I can.
For our listeners that really don't understand what a mindset coach does, is this when you someone hire you for that? It's like they have one session a week. How it works?
So, I mean, it really depends. Usually I do like a 90-day or 3-month program, and sometimes 6 months. So the first thing is we talk about, identifying your goals, kind of like laying the groundwork of finding out what your purpose is, what are your goals. And then I teach tangible tools that can build a resilient and bulletproof mindset, which are visualization, meditation, and language, right? Those are kind of the three, and breath. So I guess there's like 4 pillars. And those are like, practices. And you learn these tools and then you keep practicing them. So you can think of it as like putting in your reps with your mental reps, just like you put in your reps when you're trying to get a pull up, right? You have a progression. So identifying your goals and then using these tools to keep practicing, taking the steps to make those goals reality for you. So, if you told me you want to go to the CrossFit Games, so we'd be like, okay, um, what are you doing, physically, making sure that you have the physical skills. Like that's one thing. And I do work with people like sort of as on a strategic advisor level to make sure that the program that you're following in the gym, or that you have the right coach, so that that part's taken care of. But then beyond that, it's like, well, say you want to get a pull up. Okay, let's visualize it. Let's see yourself doing it. Let's work on that. Let's, how are you breathing so that you can be, in a calm state. So when you get in that heat of competition or stressed out, you can use your breath to calm you down. Um, Meditating is kind of a superpower, right? Of just getting able to access your calm center and come from that strong place. And then the language, how are you talking to yourself? So it's a process of learning these tools.
Hmm.
And I have different exercises that you have homework, and it's kind of just we go through a progression, basically. You learn the habits and the tools.
Have you ever had a client that were super anxious or nervous that couldn't perform in competition? Because that's a common scenario for many types of competition. I do martial arts,
Mm-hmm,
Brazilian
mm-hmm.
jiu-jitsu, and competition day is always nerve-wracking, right? Everyone is super
Yeah.
nervous. Sometimes people cannot really perform in the
Mm-hmm.
same level that they do at training just because the nervous How you deal with that? Have you ever had a situation to coach someone on that?
Um,
Or yourself,
trying to
or
think.
yourself. Have you ever got nervous in a competition?
Yeah, where we call it, yeah, it's, well, yeah, you crap the bed. I I mean, I've made mistakes in competition for sure.
But because you
I
were nervous, or
Well, more of like rookie mistakes because, like the first year I was at the CrossFit Games, I ran the wrong way or I did like things like that. But yeah, I've seen it happen. I mean, I haven't actually, specifically had a client, but I've definitely seen it happen. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So that's something that you can practice, right? That's why we train the mental side of it, is so that when you're in the heat of competition, you're not rattled by all the stress,
hmm
and that you can deal with that using your breath and using your meditation and using your self-talk to calm you down and make sure that no matter what's going on around you, you're not affected by it, you're not reacting, you're responding. So
when you are competing, do you feel any pressure, or is
oh yeah,
uh, uh,
it's
yeah?
intense. Yeah, I mean, it's like being at the CrossFit Games is, it's, you're surrounded by athletes from all over the world. And this year the masters were separated from the individuals, but usually even there's some days where we overlap. So I'm, Matt Fraser or Tia Toomey is walking by me, and the level of energy is intense. Like they're all, at the top of their game. They're all nervous. It's like, you can just feel it. It's like vibrating in there. It's this huge warehouse, where the athletes hang out at the warm up area. It's like a giant gym. It's really cool. Like, it's amazing. I love it. I love being around all those athletes. It's so cool. But then, you get to the part where you do the everybody's warming up, and then they corral you. So you're literally like in these little, where they put the location of the CrossFit Games is where they have the county fair. So it's like where they'd have the livestock lined up, right? So you're in these little corrals, and everyone's just nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're all just, I mean, the ladies are chatting, but then it's like game faces on, and it's very intense. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
and there's,
And
people
and
like,
this pressure, if you are not able to handle, that's where you're gonna make mistakes. That's where you're probably not going to perform, because it is that anxiety that, oh, I need to perform well, and then you end up not performing well. So I think that the mindset coach comes into play in the preparation for that as well, right?
yeah, I think so. And it's something with practice, right? Having the experience of competing, you get used to
Yeah.
it too.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because I interview Ton Famry on the show,
Yeah, I know Tom.
and
Yeah.
he told me something that was super interesting. He said, in the beginning, on the first games, my intention was, I was so nervous that I just wanted to get out, do the workout and leave. Right?
Mm.
I did enjoy things. I just wanted to get it done. This year, I
That's interesting.
actually enjoy. I was there enjoying the moment. But in the beginning, my first CrossFit Games, he said that he didn't really enjoy because he just had the mindset of, I need to get it done and leave. Did
Yeah.
it
So,
happen to you
you
too?
see, well, that's interesting because you can see athletes are having a miserable time. Like, they just look stressed out. And I never wanted to be like that. So that was something that I worked on. My coach and I would talk about, well, what's your goals for the game? Like, how do games, how do you want it to be? Like, what is it going to look like for you when you're there? And like, seeing myself be there, like, I want to have fun. I want to be, not only do I want to win and do the best I can, but I want to enjoy the experience. So I was like making that happen in my head before I got there. So that's another aspect of the mental training, that you visualize how the workout is going to come out, not just like the points, you're going to beat the person, but how are you going to feel about it? So I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have a good time, and I did. So
Always since your
no,
first.
not the entire time. I mean, it sucked. If you can see pictures of me, I'm like total pain
No,
face.
no.
But you know what? So here's another thing, Yuri, where it's like, I believe in the laws of the universe, right? There's like physical laws in the universe, and one of them is the laws of polarity. Like, for all of the pain and suffering, on the other side of that, there's the joy, right? So when I'm in like the deep, dark hell of training and in the pain cave of the workout, I'm just thinking, I got to get to the other side of this. Like there's going to be something good at the end. So you have to like have something to hold on to carry you through.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question was more in your first participation of the CrossFit game. Were you that calm? Were you always calm like that?
No, I wasn't. Yeah. I was very nervous. I was excited, nervous. You know, like I said, I made a few mistakes. I also, my first year, my back went out. I was in a lot of pain. My second year, I sprained my ankle warming up. So that was horrible.
Wow, warming up.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's been a process
Hmm.
of learning, and growing and getting better at it and having the experience. So it took me, I mean, this year I went, one of the women that I trained with was her first year also. And, she was really nervous. And I said to her, I was like, look, it's your first time, it takes a few years. Like it's just getting there is a big deal. So it takes a while to get used to it, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, anyways, yeah.
But it's good. It's good that you had this experience and you noticed the improvement every year. You were getting not bad on your numbers, but your mental strength and how you were enjoying. Because probably nowadays you enjoy much more than you did 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, actually, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, 2018, the second year I went, I had a great time, even though my ankle was hurt. It was a good experience, but yeah, you appreciate too. And I think my fellow competitors, I think would agree. Like we're all just grateful to be there and to be able to do this at this age,
Yeah.
that our bodies are holding up and that like, I mean, I look at around at the adaptive athletes or just like, I'm so grateful and so lucky to be able to do this. It's like,
Yeah,
it,
the feeling of
yeah,
gratitude is something that we sometimes we take for granted, right? Just the fact
yeah,
that we are able to do that at this
yeah. I
age.
mean, it's fitness we're talking about.
Hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. But the other thing that I thought that was super interesting because I took a look also on your LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and there was a moment in your career that you were a PM, a senior learning project manager, and everything, and then you started shift to coach in 2018. So how was this transition to
Yeah.
from corporate America working in
I left the corporate
yeah,
America.
how was this transition? Because that's super interesting that you were working with VP of sales and everything, and then a year after that you completely change your
Yeah,
life.
good question. I went to college for art. I have a degree in art. After college, I worked in the fashion industry. I was a professional wardrobe stylist for 25 years. I traveled all over the world, styling photo shoots for advertising campaigns for, Toyota and Apple and cruise lines. And I did that for a very long time. And then it was 2008. I was going through a divorce. There was a financial crash and I just needed a job. So I started working. I got into the corporate world as a senior executive assistant. I was supporting CEOs. So I did that. And then that kind of segued into working in the tech world, supporting the VP of sales. And then I was managing events and training programs for sales leaders globally, um, working, traveling internationally. That's when I was getting more and more into CrossFit and competing. And I was a single mom, two kids, and working, this crazy corporate job, and just hating my job and just wanting to be like I qualified for the games and I was training and working and traveling and starting to coach. Like people were coming, I was starting to train women in my garage, and I just was like, I can't, I just need to get out. I need to just coach. Like that's really what I need to do. This is, people are coming to me asking me this. I just want to do CrossFit. So yeah, I took the leap and I quit my corporate job. I had
Wow.
some savings and I started coaching.
So
And I started coaching CrossFit in a couple of gyms. I was teaching, group class, and then I started getting one-on-one clients.
It's very
Which
courageous, right? I mean,
it was a big,
yeah, because you
huge,
had a full-time job, probably
yeah, insurance.
financially
Yeah.
speaking, it was much better, but you went to all into your passion, and that takes a lot of courage to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a big leap of faith, and I never looked back. I mean, occasionally I'll be like, "Oh, it'd be so nice, have a regular paycheck." I I couldn't give up my freedom now. It's like it's worth so much.
And was that when you were 40, right, in 2008, that this happened? Or was later
No, so
on?
that was 2017 was when I quit my last corporate job. So I was 50. Yeah, like complete life change.
Life changed
Um,
completely. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, I know. I knew. It's interesting to reflect back on that. I just kept going, looking forward. I didn't look back.
Yeah, but it was a big accomplishment because I always tell people that they need to be passionate for what they do. If they are in a job that they feel miserable, they need to get out because
Yeah, absolutely. And my boss at the time, she was younger than me, and I remember she's like, "You're passionate about CrossFit." Like we were on this trip to Ireland, and I was running these sales events, and I was like trying to find the CrossFit gym. Like after the, work, I would go to the drop in at the box. She's like, "You're passionate about that. You should be doing that." Like, why are you doing this other thing? So she even saw it. Um,
but at that point you probably couldn't even imagine yourself living just for that, right? Because you still have a lot of
yeah, it was, how am I going to make it work? And, luckily I was able to work, CrossFit Oakland, they hired me right away. And then I was also coaching at, they had another gym. So I had a job right away to go in, and you don't make a lot, coaching CrossFit classes, but I started getting one-on-one clients and doing, little small group classes. And I right away started doing some lifestyle coaching, and I just have been, building it since
but how
then.
cool is that that after 50 you find your passion and you change your life completely, become an athlete, and I mean is a huge change. You probably don't realize that, but this needs to be on your next book.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because there are a lot of people that will inspire by that. A lot of people that will not.
Maybe it's fearless. Maybe it's becoming fearless at 50 or something like that. I think it's, we're limited by our fear. And what fear is false evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's what we think, is something that's going to happen that hasn't even happened yet. So it's getting out of our own way and not being afraid, and yeah, following your passion. And also it's like, gets back to when I work with clients on identifying your goals starts with finding out what your purpose is. And for me, I realized my purpose is I'm an inspiration and a leader, and I want to help people, especially women, connect with their strength and, feel healthy and strong. And it's just what I do. It's what I love, and I want to bring people with me to do it. I don't want to tell you what to do, but hey, if you like what I'm doing, come join me.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this together.
Now you did that at 50, but you really start at 40. So this 10 years, it was
Yes.
just a matter of you were not ready to make this change in lifestyle. Why did you delay 10 years to make this big change?
Well, I was raising two kids, right?
Hmm.
I needed a paycheck. I needed health insurance. There were some practical logistical things.
But in
Um,
your mind, you wanted to do that.
Well, I'd always been an entrepreneur. I mean, even when I was working as a stylist, I was freelance. I ran my own business. I had an agent that represented me, but I was an independent contract. I worked for myself. So I was used to being an entrepreneur, being a solopreneur, running my own business. So that wasn't foreign to me. I mean, actually being in the corporate world was more different than running my own business. So that didn't scare me, but becoming a coach, like in a completely, like the shift from being in the creative and business world to, but it all relates, like having the experience of, being a stylist. It was like, my job was to realize someone's vision, and being a coach is kind of the same
Yep.
thing in a way.
Yep.
Like you're helping someone achieve their goals, whatever their vision is, you want to help them get
And I
there.
bet you that you can now, with your experience, you can do even the other way around. You can teach corporate CEOs
Yeah.
the things that you learn as an athlete, so they can incorporate in their program.
Yeah, I mean that's what, my mental performance coach, she works with CEOs, and it's like the same thing, right? I mean, having a winning mindset on the field is going to be the same as in the boardroom, I think, right?
Hmm.
Like you want to show up and win
Yeah,
wherever you
the
are.
best books that I read that helped me in the corporate world is actually books from coach. There is a
Mm.
great book from Tim Groove, which was Michael Jordan's coach.
Oh yeah.
Relentless. It's
Yes, I've read that
absolutely,
book.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. The
Yeah.
lessons that you have that
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. And what's the other one? There's a book on meditation by he works with Michael Jordan too. I'm blanking on the name. One of my favorite books. It'll come to me. Um, Mind of an Athlete.
So it's not from Tim Groove, is it?
No. Um, I'll send it to you, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mind of a Champion. No, Mind of a Champion is Jim Ephemerow, and The Mindful Athlete is the one on meditation.
Did you read
Um,
that one too?
yeah, those are some of my favorite books. Yeah.
Yeah. So an athlete has a lot to teach to the corporate world, mainly from the mindset perspective and from the
Hmm.
struggles. A lot of people
Right.
they they lose motivation too easily. If they don't get a promotion, they lose motivation. If they don't receive a tap on the back, they lose motivation. So you gotta be
Right.
self-driven.
Yeah. Motivation, being comfortable, being uncomfortable,
Hmm.
you know, um, embracing the suck, all of those things. It applies to the corporate world too, I think. And motivation, right? Where does motivation come from? It's like it comes from action, I think, and having something that you're passionate about. But what do you have? How do you stay motivated when you're doing something you don't want to do, right?
But you said something that to me is key: consistency. Because to me, consistency is even more powerful than motivation. Because motivation comes and goes, right? Some days you are not
Right.
motivated, but if you have the discipline and the consistent you execute, that's
I
the
was
game.
thinking about that today because I went in the gym and I'm just working out right now. I don't have a goal necessarily, except I want to be better at surfing and I want to be around for my grandchildren. But I just was like, okay, I'm just going to go. I'm going to show up. I'm going to work out. I don't even really feel like it, but I'm going to do it because I know I'll feel better afterwards. And it's like what you got to do. So yeah, just showing up continually.
Yeah. Now you said that you don't have a goal, but I doubt that this is really true because I'm pretty sure that next year you want to be on the CrossFit Games again.
I don't know, Yuri.
Yeah,
I don't
really?
know. I don't know. I'm going to do the open and then we'll see. How's that?
That's interesting. That's so. Is that because you already won that you are having this feeling of accomplishment, or?
Yeah, there's that. There's just the amount of time and energy and resources that it takes physically and mentally and financially. It's a lot. I know what it takes. I know what I put into it, and I want to put all of that energy and time and resources elsewhere right now.
Hmm.
So I don't know if I want to do it again. I think it's hard. It would be hard for me to just go and not want to win
Right.
again. And I know what it takes to win. I don't know if I am right now. I can't even imagine. It's like, I don't know. It's like I remember when I had my first. I don't know if you have kids, but when I had my first daughter, right away I was like, I'm good. I'm never doing this again.
I
And
also
then
have two
a year
daughters.
went by, and I was like, okay, she should have a sibling. And then I was like, okay. And then I had my next daughter. Like, how could I even ever have hesitated? Like, she's amazing. So,
Yeah.
not that it's the same as the CrossFit Games, but maybe I'll get to the point where I'm ready. I don't know.
Yeah, I also have two daughters, so yeah, exactly that feeling for sure.
Yeah.
But your profile of someone that is always looking for the next challenge, I think that you probably will realize that will be interesting to do it again at some point, even if you take 1 year off. But I would not say that you retire from the games yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll go back. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about surfing. I just signed up for this surf camp. So tomorrow's my second class. And it's so great to find something that brings so much joy and is like a new cool sport to learn again. So I'm really excited about that.
But you're still having fun in CrossFit, right? You're still enjoying.
Yeah, and you know what? Now it's like it's so great to come back to the gym, and all my friends are there, and the community. I go to group class and jump in on a partner WOD and have a good time, and it's still great.
Since you are not prepping for anything right now, do you relax a little bit on your nutrition? Do you, you know,
Yes,
yeah?
definitely. Maybe have an extra cookie or two. And no, you know what it is like I'm not so concerned with making sure I get like the timing of everything, and like if I don't I have my carb powder, it's okay. Like I just it's a little more relaxed.
So
Yeah.
with your nutrition right now, if you want to have a pizza on the weekend, it's fine. No problem with that. And
I pretty much eat what I want anyways, and I don't really like pizza, so that's not a problem. Yeah, people are always like, "Oh, you're so strict with your nutrition." It's not that. It's like I know what makes me feel good. Like if I eat crappy food, I feel crappy, so I don't want to eat crappy food. It's maybe it's from years of doing this, but it's just not worth it. It's the same thing with drinking. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you should go have some drinks." It's like I don't. If I drink, I feel horrible. Like it's just so not worth it. I don't want it. Like it doesn't benefit me. It just makes me feel like tired and I have a headache, and so I don't, it's not like I'm depriving myself. It's just like, I don't want
but it
that.
is has always been this way, like I mean, or this really started when you became an athlete.
The more yeah, it's probably as I get older. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I never was like heavily into drinking or taking drugs or anything. It was never something that I really wanted, but I did more probably when I was younger. But it's just as I get older, it's just less beneficial, less enjoyable to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then same thing with food, right? You never were someone that ate a lot.
No, I mean, I've grown up, I come from a family of foodies, cooks. My mom, we grew up, my mom is an amazing cook. She has a huge garden. So is my grandmother, my sister-in-law, my stepmom. Like food is, I'm Jewish and Italian, and like it's just a big part of our culture. So no, I mean, food is just something that we love and have always loved. And it's not like overeating has never been a thing. I think it's more just like enjoying it and sharing it. And it's like, it's something that is like a way of showing love. And yeah, food
That's
is
that that,
love.
that really reflects on your body for sure because I mean you are ripped and it seems like you are like in this shape all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in game shape all year long. That's just not sustainable. But yeah, I'm pretty healthy. And my kids are too. I mean, I think it is genetics, it's culture. And that's why another reason why I feel like I'm compelled and it's my purpose to share that and teach that, because it's something that I've just grown up with. Whereas maybe not, I didn't grow up being a competitive athlete, but I grew up knowing how to cook and how to eat in a healthy way. And I want to share that because I feel like it's something that people just don't know and they don't learn and they aren't taught. But anybody can learn how to cook for themselves and
But
what foods are
but
good.
do you ever worry about the macros? Do you do macronutrition and look at the carbs, protein, or not really?
A couple times a year, I will. Maybe once a year, I track for a little while just to kind of see where I'm at. But I've been doing this so long that I know. But when I first started training for the games, I did work with a coach, a nutrition coach, just to find out because I wanted to know, am I getting enough? At the time, like I've had the opposite problem of like, I want to put on more muscle. I want to be stronger. So I realized I was under eating, I was under fueling. So I educated myself, I learned. And since then, I'm in a nutrition master class right now. I just want to learn more so that I can teach people
Hmm.
more, and how to explain it in a better way. But I personally will track about once a year. I don't regularly, I don't weigh and measure because I just kind of know now what works for me. When I started games training this year and the volume just increased, I had to increase. I was like tired and grouchy and like emotional, and I realized I just needed more food,
So
more carbs,
you increase the overall calorie intake or more carbs? So
more carbs, and more, just more.
Hmm.
Yeah, overall calories, but especially more carbs. And that's another thing with the hormones. The hormonal shift is timing of nutrition is very important. And women, especially just don't perform well in a fueled state. Like you might be great doing intermittent fasting. Women is just like not. And for me, like I need fuel before I train and during training. So I started, taking carbs during training more and really packing it around my training.
What about
That makes a big difference.
supplementation? Do you have any supplementation that you think is key?
Well, like whey protein for sure. Creatine, I take creatine. I take omega, really good quality omega 3s. Sometimes I take beta alanine before I took it up to the games, and during competition, I'll take beta alanine.
Hmm.
What else? That's about it.
And multivitamins all year long, of course, or no?
I don't. I take magnesium. I take zinc. Sometimes if I feel like I'm getting a cold. I'm not big on supplements. I try to eat a very wide variety of whole unprocessed foods and try to get, and I know, soils are deplete, so maybe we're not getting the most micronutrients we can from our food, but I try to eat fruits and vegetables. Um, yeah, the main thing is the omegas. I do that. I take CBD for anti-inflammatory and to help me sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
What about joint health? Do you have anything specific for joint health?
so I take arnica. I rub arnica oil on my joints. I think the CBD helps. The omega 3s help. I have been looking in. Oh, I put collagen in my coffee. Yeah, I wish there
Because
was
I
a
noticed
magic pill.
I
I
noticed
know.
that as we get older, the first thing that gets problematic is the joints, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
do you do more stretches? Do you do more things to help with the
I
joint?
warm up. I definitely take a longer time warming up
Hmm.
and doing more mobility. Not necessarily like stretching, but I would say like
Mobility, yeah. Hmm.
mobilization. I mean, I do yoga. I do the cold exposure, so the cold
Ooh,
plunge.
okay.
Yeah, I know it hurts, but it's so great. It's good hormonally. I mean, it induces all these feel good chemicals, hormones that are long lasting and amazing. It's good for anti inflammation. It's good for the joints. It's good for pain. It's good for your skin. I mean, it's like amazing. I try to do that 4 times a week, and I do it for 3 minutes at about 43 to 44 degrees.
Wow.
And it's good for mental toughness too, because once you've done that first thing in the morning, it's like anything else you do that day is like, all right, whatever. I already sat in the cold water for 3 minutes. I can do anything. So I can't, yeah, the benefits are just, the research is there. It's
Yeah,
so good
yeah,
for you. Yeah.
absolutely.
So I do that. I need to get the sauna, the hot, cold and hot exposure would be best, but you need to end on the cold if you're going to do it. What else? I get massage. I work with a chiropractor, PT. Yeah, so tissue work, right?
Hmm.
So it's the mobilization, it's the myofascial release, that kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
the joints,
Those are
they wear out.
those are great tips for sure.
Yeah.
Leka, we could talk for hours here, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap up here. We are almost 1 hour, and I just want to say thanks for
Yeah.
this great talk and for you to inspire so many people. You have no idea how important it is to have someone like you representing, be a champion for the
Oh, thank
master,
you.
and keep sharing the goodness with everyone.
I will. Thanks so much for having me. And I know we met somewhere. I'm just gonna have to figure it out.
All right, thank you very much. All right, everyone, that's
Thank
a
you.
wrap for today's episode. Stay tuned. We have this one.